From groundbreaking research to the conversations shaping the future of AI. This is Ekaterina, covering the ICLR 2026 Conference for Women in AI Research.
Hi, I'm Sara Papi from Fondazione Bruno Kessler in Italy, and I'm a postdoc there working on speech processing in general. And today I will present this benchmark paper that is called MCIF, that stands for Multimodal Cross-Lingual Instruction Following. And with multimodal here, we mean speech, video, and text. And here, what we did was we identified some gaps in the literature, because when evaluating multimodal LLMs, we noticed that most of the material that that was available was not really cross-lingual. So meaning that it was either monolingual or multilingual, but not really addressing the case in which we have, for instance, a context in a language, let's say English, as it is here, and the answer should be provided, and the question is also in another language, for instance, German, Chinese, and Italian, as it is here. We also have the monolingual part, but by the way. And also another gap was that mainly the material was synthetically generated, especially for speech. And also, one of the material of the benchmark available was parallel across the different modalities. So we use one benchmark for evaluating speech, one for evaluating video, just separate ones. And what we did here was to collect up to 10 hours of content from the scientific talks domain. And we annotated it manually. So everything here is manual. And we never use synthetically generated data or annotation in any part of the process.
And there is also no back translation, right? The languages are original language.
Yes, exactly. And we also created some question-answer pairs based on the different sources. And here we have generic, transcript, and summary. In the generic one, the question is created just by reading the title. With the summary, instead we provided both the title and the abstract of the talk. And with the transcript, we provided everything plus the transcript of the talk itself. And we also labeled the question-answer pairs based on the modality that is required for providing the answer. Because sometimes the answer can be contained in the speech, sometimes in the video only, or maybe in both these sources of information. Mm-hmm. And we evaluated the 23 state-of-the-art models across LLMs, speech LLMs, video LLMs, and multimodal LLMs, including a probability system that is Gemini. And we also have two types of inputs here. We have the short part that is usually what we do in speech evaluation. So we provide just a short segment of a few seconds in general. And we ask for the translation, the transcription, or whatever. And here instead, the more realistic one, in which you just provide the entire talk. Mm-hmm. And we evaluated 4 macro tasks: the recognition, the translation, the question answering, the summarization. And we also evaluated two sets of prompts, because here we have an instruction following benchmark. So with the 6th one, we just have a single prompt that is also usually the case in the evaluation frameworks not for all the tasks, but for all the inference. While here in the mix, we sampled from a list of reformulation of the same prompt to see how the model behaves when the prompts are reformulated. So to see if this performance remains robust. So we have a lot of results here, but I can see that in general, as expected, as I mentioned, what we do usually in the speech domain is to address the short input, so with few seconds. But when we move to the long one, the systems, degrade a lot in the performance. This is also sometimes the case for the VLMs, but not always. Sometimes it even improve. And we also see in general that there is a very limited robustness to the prompt reformulation. So we do see some performance shift that is not really a desirable thing, because the reformulation are really, some little rephrasing of the prompt. So the meaning is exactly the same. So they shouldn't behave differently. And since the benchmark is completely parallel among modalities, it also allows for like this analysis. It is the modality integration one. So we picked the top two multimodal LLMs, and we provided either the video, the speech and the video, and the text in the long part, to see how the different modalities are handled by these multimodal LLMs. And from the results, we can see that in general, MLMs leverage more. So the speech modality. So it's the best one in terms of performance. And also, even if it is counterintuitive from like a human perspective, if you use both the speech and the video, the performance is great. Right. Meaning that, the modality integration is, the alignment is not very good at the moment. Right. So it points out a weakness of all these models. And this is pretty the case for every model here.
I see. I have heard of somehow relevant study at the EACL this year on the multimodal, also cross-lingual, basically benchmark that they had. And they had questions like, for example, they give a sound of the dog barking 3 times, let's say, and then they ask a question in human speech, like how many times the dog barked.
Okay, this is more understanding.
Yeah,
I think that here is more like an application, because we just we ask some to do some tasks, so downstream tasks, right? Some summarization. There's also the question answering, but it's mimicking more what a human would have asked about the talk. Right. While all these other benchmarks, I don't know it specifically, but are evaluating more like the understanding, the capabilities of understanding like the input context of these speech LLMs. Here is more applicative, let's say.
Right.
So we hope it's also more close to what a human would ask.
I see. I think what is interesting and similar to that work is that that work also showed that the alignment across modalities, like what was asked in speech and what was actually the sound, that alignment is almost not existent, basically.
Yeah, and also, surprisingly, of course, when you, as a human, you just look at the videos or the slides of the presentation, and also listen, and in general, it helps, especially for instance, named entities. It helps a lot looking at the slides because the name, how it is, spelled, and so on and so forth. Maybe it's harder for the speech, but it turns out that it's not really the case for this MLM. So they are not integrating information. They are distracted by like this addition of the information. So I think that there's a lot of room for improvement. Yes, sure. I'm not sure it's only a matter of alignment, but it might be one of the things that we can do for improving that interaction between these modalities, I'd say.
I see. And for your benchmark, have you seen any differences in terms of like model size and patterns?
Not really. Of course, as I mentioned, Gemini is the best one, but we don't know exactly, how big it is. Of course, the speech LLMs in general are pretty small compared to LLMs here. For instance, I think that most of the LLMs here are bigger compared to all the other models that are present in this study. But surprisingly, they are not good at they are not better at every task. For instance, I think that here we used, for sure, something around 20 billions. And one of the best performing models here is Qwen, that I think it's around 8, but I'm not super sure, but I should be. So I don't think that it depends so much on the size, even if, just to clarify, we haven't run very big models in this study because we didn't have the computational budget for doing it. Right. So I think we filtered out every model above 20 billion parameters. So maybe if you use 70 billion LLMs, it might improve, but it's not really the case here for the speech LLMs and so on, because they are usually pretty small. The new Qwen is a little bit bigger, but I'd say that it's not really that parameter dependent, but below the 20 billions. So
Right.
just to clarify that maybe it might be different with 70 or 200 billions or whatever.
I see. And how many languages you have?
For the benchmark, English, German, Italian, and Chinese.
I see. And any patterns you see across languages, or?
I think that more or less the trends were almost the same.
Even English is not better than anything else.
Of course, for the English, we couldn't do the translation because the original content is in English. But also for the ASR, the performance are often not very good, especially in the long form. So I would say that it's not surprisingly, it's not super good compared to the older languages. I think the difference that I noticed is that maybe the question answering task is in Chinese sometimes a little bit better than the other languages. But maybe it depends on the training data that was used in some of these models. But in general, I would say the trends are very, similar for all the languages.
And not very optimistic. So a lot of improvements.
Yeah. So, we also have detailed results for each language in the paper, but I'm Italian, so I looked at some outputs here, and sometimes when I asked maybe to translate some content into Italian, it was instead giving me the recipe for some dishes in Italian, some Italian dishes.
Mm-hmm.
So it was. We also manually reviewed some of the outputs to identify some commonalities in the errors that we also included in the appendix. And there are some recurrent things. Of course, most of the failures are under generation, under translation, especially when we provide the entire talk. Mm-hmm. But some others are pretty funny, I would say, with this recipe or some other cases in which, even if it just asked to transcribe the speech, the model was just replying, it is not safe, I cannot do it. Or even if, of course, it is, no one of these papers was about sensible topics.
Mm-hmm.
So it was just a refusal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Thank you.